We're adding one random legend to every MLB franchise. We're going to simulate ahead 10 years and see how it plays out. If I think your franchise needs a pitcher, they're going to get a pitcher. If I think they need a shortstop, they're going to get a shortstop. Starting with the Baltimore Orioles, who historically don't sign pitchers. In fact, the biggest pitcher contract the Orioles have ever given out is to Alex Cobb. Well, in this video, they're getting Roger Clemens to lead their staff. The Yankees need a shortstop, and there's no better shortstop to play for the Yankees than Derek Jeter. The Rays are yet another franchise that historically doesn't spend a lot of money at all, and they don't pay pitchers. One of their biggest pitcher contracts ever is Zach Eflin. So today, they're getting Pedro Martinez as the ace of their staff. The Toronto Blue Jays are another team that I feel just needs a lot of starting pitching. The lineup is solid, so let's give them Greg Maddux. There's not much that's going to help these White Sox, but we're dropping an ace in the South Side yet again, Nolan Ryan. How do you not have a single 80 overall, man? The Guardians are pitching factory, really. They don't need an arm, so we're getting a big bat this time. We're putting Stan Musial, Stan the Man, in the meat of this lineup. The Tigers had a couple positions I eyeballed, but we ultimately landed in center field. We're going with one of the greatest of all time. Willie Mays is going to go out in center field for the Detroit Tigers, the Motor City Kitties. Kansas City Royals, another team that they have solid pitching, so we're going to go ahead and get a bopper in the lineup. Let's put Ralph Kiner in the 4-hole for this team. The Minnesota Twins, they were between like 80 and 85 overall at almost every position all the way around. We ended up landing on another bat, though. Big thumper in the middle of the lineup, Frank Thomas. This ended up being one of my favorite picks for the entire video. In Houston, they could use some right-handed power in that lineup. So why not Sammy Sosa and all of his corked bats going down to Texas? Angels of Anaheim, this one's self-explanatory. They've been trying to hit on an ace for a long time. The bats tend to be there, but we're going to put big unit Randy Johnson. And this was really just a hand pick from Swilly. The Athletics, they're interesting because I actually love their lineup. They have a bunch of guys in their lineup that are really good. So we're putting Tom Seaver at the top of the staff. Seattle Mariners had a great season, but remember when everyone was upset at them for not spending any money in the offseason? 100 quality starts and they didn't make the playoffs last year, and then they didn't bring anyone in the offseason? Well, guess what? Josh Naylor. They nailed the trade deadline. They extend Josh Naylor in the offseason. Big Dumper has a huge breakout season. Let's throw Vladimir Guerrero Sr. in the mix and get son and dad in the league. Texas Rangers offensively just can't stay healthy, so we're going to get a monster in their lineup as well. We're going to center field this time around. Mickey Mantle is going to play baseball for the Texas Rangers. The Atlanta Braves did a really good job of replacing Freddie Freeman with Matt Olson when he left, but they still haven't really ever replaced Dansby Swanson's production at shortstop, so we're going to take Cal Ripken Jr. and put him at the 6 in Atlanta. This builds out a really solid lineup for them. Miami's one of those teams where I could have filled out 7 different positions, so I didn't know what to do. I just gave them an ace to pitch every 5 days. Hal Newhouser is going to lead the staff. The New York Mets, after adding Juan Soto last year, are going to add another big left-handed hitter. Ken Griffey Jr. is going to be in center field for the New York Metropolitans. Philadelphia Phillies have been really lacking right-handed power since they lost Rhys Hoskins a few years ago. The outfield's just been hit or miss. It's been a carousel for them in left field. We're going to bring in a corner outfielder, a right-handed corner outfielder, one of the best of all time. Hank Aaron fits the Phillies lineup like a glove. Washington Nationals, they have some good upside on a lot of their players, but there's still so many places I wanted to go, and I again ultimately landed on an ace. Vida Blue will be pitching for the Nats. Chicago Cubs are going to get a catcher. We're going to go behind the plate. We're just going to give them a power stick. Johnny Bench. Cincinnati Reds, another one of these teams with a lot of sneaky pitching. Hunter Green, you know all about, but did you know Nick Lodolo's a stud? We're going to put George Brett on the hot corner next to Ellie De La Cruz and have a Hall of Famer lead the young star. Milwaukee Brewers, they lost Willie Adames at shortstop, who went on to have a big season with the Giants this year. We're going to replace the 6. The one thing that, not that they were lacking this year, but imagine Honus Wagner at shortstop. That Brewers lineup playing next to Bryce Terang. Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates, another team that could use so much help. I decided to just give Paul Skeens directly a bunch of help, and we're going to put Mike Piazza behind the plate. The guy you're throwing to is going to back you up with a bunch of runs, Paul. I can give you that much. St. Louis Cardinals, I felt like outfield was really the one spot they were lacking the most. Duke Snider's an underrated legend that I really wanted to feature in this video, so we're going to put him in center field The 99 overall, great hitting stats. Arizona Diamondbacks, Christian Walker was an underrated player for them for a few years, and he went to Houston, and I feel like first base was a lackluster position for them. So we're going to go to Lou Gehrig. We're going to put him on first and see how that left-handed power stick fits in the lineup with Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll. The Rockies can get in line with the Marlins, and the White Sox is another team I didn't know where to go because they suck everywhere. We ultimately put Whitey Ford, the 99 overall starting pitcher, at the staff. The 99 starting pitcher is going to lead the staff. The Oscar Hernandez and Max Muncy. I felt dirty taking any of these guys out, but we're going to put Joe Morgan at second base. Top 5 second baseman of all time. And the San Diego Padres are going to get some consistent power from behind the plate. We're going to go to Gary Carter. New York Mets legend, hit a ton of home runs. He's going to go behind the plate for the Dads. And the San Francisco Giants, Willie Adames was the first player since Barry Bonds to hit 30 home runs for the franchise this past season. But you need more power in this lineup to go with Willie Adames. Jeff Bagwell's going to supply that power. So now we've built these rosters. Every team is ready to roll. Let's simulate through the first season, see who wins the World Series and who comes up with all the awards. And after our first year simulating, the World Series winner is none other than the San Francisco Giants. They take down the Blue Jays in a 4-game sweep. World Series MVP was Patrick Bailey. League MVPs were Sammy Sosa, who hit 53 home runs, and Marcelo Zuna. Marcelo Zuna wins MVP. Cy Young Awards went to Christopher Sanchez and Greg Maddux. Just beat out Randy Johnson. Batting title winners were Stan Musial and Jackson Merrill. Rookie of the Year went to Colson Montgomery and Griffin Conine. And now here's where the madness is going to begin. Guys are going to start moving all over the place. Tom Seaver signs with the Orioles. 8 years, $355 million. Roger Clemens is going to Arizona on a similar deal, but he got $387. Imanaga gets traded to the Athletics. Yo, the Athletics are going for it. Eric Jeter immediately leaves the Yankees and he goes to Toronto. 4 years, $141. I guess Bo Bichette walked. Where's he going to go? Willie Mays is going to St. Louis. 10 years, $477 million. Mike Piazza is going to San Diego. No one lasts in Pittsburgh, man. 4 years, $97 million. Aaron Buxton apparently waives his no trade clause and he's going to Tampa. Oh my goodness. The Philadelphia Phillies lock in Hank Aaron. 13 years, $558 million. What? What is that? Pedro Martinez goes to Texas, $367. Johnny Bench is going to be a Cub, 7 years, $193. Lou Gehrig goes to Toronto, 11 years, $385 million. There's just no way. Randy Johnson goes to Miami. Let's jump into year 2 now and see where we are. Whoa. Sammy Sosa, who was in Houston, went to the White Sox, now gets traded to the Reds. He's on nine years, $40 million contract. He's going to go to Cincinnati. And in year 2, unfortunately, the Dodgers win the 26 World Series over the Guardians in 7. It was an absolute classic. The Dodgers also went 7 with the Phillies in the NLCS. World Series MVP was Jeff Bagwell, who made his way to Los Angeles. Our MVPs were Gunnar Henderson, who hit 57 home runs, and Mickey Mantle. How did Jeff Bagwell, Duke Snider, and Mickey Mantle all end up on that team? Mantle wins MVP with the Dodgers. Even MLB The Show, everyone just goes to LA. Tom Seaver and Tyler Glasnow win the Cy Young Awards. Jeff Bagwell and Jose Ramirez are your batting title winners. After Max Scherzer hung him up last season, Clayton Kershaw finally hangs him up here after 26, 1 year later than real life. Hal Newhouser's going to Toronto, 5 years, $207. Garrett Crochet gets a monster deal with Detroit. I hope Tarek Skubal's still there. A Skubal Crochet tandem. Are you kidding me? Hannes Wagner's going to Minnesota. Only gets 71 mil. Oh, it was 37 now. Okay. You like Jazz? 9 years, 189. Attaboy, Jazz. But unfortunately, Skubal is not in Detroit because he gets an 8-year deal from Toronto, who's throwing money around. And these Dodgers do it again, man. They pick up Alec Boehm for 3rd. They added Duke Snider last season, Mookie Mantle last season, and they also just added Vlad Sr. How do they keep getting away with this? What do you mean Jacob deGrom is their closer? And in year 3, 2027, the Phillies sweep the Toronto Blue Jays in an early 90s revenge beatdown. The Blue Jays swept the ALDS. They won the ALCS in 6, and then they didn't win a game in the Classic. Bryce Harper was your World Series MVP. Your league MVPs were Yordan Alvarez and Mickey Mantle does it again. 53 bombs. Him and Duke Snider both hit 50 homers. Ohtani's not even like a top 3 player on this team anymore. Tom Seaver and Tyler Glasnow win the Cy Young Awards. Look at Tyler Glasnow doing it back-to-back. It's back-to-back years we have the same Cy Young winners. Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle are your batting title winners. Well, the Brewers never got a deal done with Bryce Terang. He's still ARB eligible, and he gets dealt as the clock is ticking. He's going to Toronto. Adley Rutschman's going to Seattle on a 5-year, $86 million deal. That doesn't make any sense. Gilbert's going to the Bronx, 7 years, $230. Joan Duran in free agency gets a 3-year, $37 million deal from the Blue Jays. That feels like a steal because Felix Bautista just got a $53 million deal from the Orioles to stay in Baltimore. Another reliever staying put will be Edwin Diaz. Let's simulate through year 4 and see if we can get our first repeat World Series winner. Seiya Suzuki's going to Toronto, 33 years old, still an 88 overall. Not the craziest deadline it seems, but Brent Rooker at 33 years old, also 90 overall, going to go to Chicago. And the 2028 World Series champs are the Dodgers. We do get our first repeat winner. The Dodgers take down the Yankees in a 2024 rematch in just 5 games. Snyder is your World Series MVP. Anthony Santander hits 50 bombs and wins the MVP in the American League. Stan Musial with a 60-homer season wins the MVP in San Francisco. We were talking about 30-homer seasons in San Francisco. How's 60 sound? That's one of the best single seasons I've seen from anyone in any sim ever in this game. 60 homers, 143 RBIs, and an 1165 OPS. Cy Youngs are Blake Snell and Pedro Martinez, and look at that Dodger domination. Last 3 winners and all 3 top vote getters are Dodgers. 36-year-old Jose Ramirez getting a 1-year deal with Toronto. Why approve a deal at 94 overall? Come on, guys. Somebody pay the dude. Manuel Clase is still playing baseball in this video game, ladies and gentlemen. 4 years, $81 million to go gamble in Chicago. Framber Valdez, $68 million, 2-year deal at 35. Look at Cleveland. Logan Webb gets a similar deal, 92 overall, 3-year, $89 million with the Dodgers. Ronald Acuna Jr. staying in Atlanta. He's 31 years old, 98 overall, gets a 9-year, $310 million extension. 35-year-old Matt Chapman gets traded for Nick Lodolo. This is a crazy offseason, much better than last year. Hunter Henderson, 10-year, $352 to Chicago. Look at the Cubbies are going all in. You're done. 7 years, $244. The 28-29 offseason is a classic. Riley Green to South Philadelphia, 6 years, $180. It's not even February yet. This is amazing. It's time to sim year 5. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we once again are going to be seeing the Dodgers win the World Series. This time they take down the Rangers in 6 after just mauling through the National League side of the bracket. Look at the Pirates, though, having a season, making it to the NLCS. Jeff Bagwell wins World Series MVP with a .571 average. Your league MVPs are Lou Gehrig and Gunnar Henderson. It's Gunnar Henderson's second MVP award, one in each league now. Cy Young Awards are going to go to Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez. That's back-to-back for Pedro in Texas. Didn't take long for Randy and Pedro to split and both win a Cy in the same season. Jose Altuve hangs them up at the end of the 29 season. And we're going to jump into an offseason as we kick into the second half of this video. Now, before we get into the second half of this video, I got to give a quick shout out to my friends at Nike. Hit that Shelfy affiliate link down below and shop Nike products today. Ellie De La Cruz goes to the Motor City. He's 28, 99 overall, 8-year, $290 million. The Paul Skeens free agency year. He gets 9 years, $367 million from the Mariners. The Phillies just traded Aaron Nola and Bryce Harper for Jack Flaherty. This might be the most preposterous contract dumping I have ever seen. Mason Miller gets $100 million as a reliever with Atlanta. Wyatt Langford at 28 is going to get a mega deal with Baltimore, 10 years, $440 million. Gary Carter started to decline. He's at 91 overall here at 31 years old, but he gets a 3-year deal from the Yanks. Let's sim the 2030 season and see where they land. Cole Reagan's on the move to Atlanta, 90 overall at 32. I feel like he's still trending up. How is Evan Carter still 27 years old? Zach Veen goes to Detroit, and he's a 92 overall. And in the year 2030, we have a battle of Maryland. The Orioles go up against the Nationals, and Baltimore takes it down in 6. The Nats beat the Cardinals in 7. We've seen the Marlins, the Nationals, the Orioles, the Guardians all in the playoffs. Wyatt Langford is your World Series MVP for the O's. Yordan Alvarez and Stan Musial are your MVP winners. That's Stan's second MVP in 3 years. Roki Sasaki was second in the MVP award. Roki Sasaki and Shane McClanahan win the Cy Young Awards. James Wood hits free agency at 28, 4 years, $125 million to Motor City. Detroit's got to win one in this sim. Roki Sasaki, second time around, goes to Philly. 8 years, $334 million. The 95 overall Cy Young Award winner goes to Philly. After they just dumped Nola and Harper last year, they spend all that money. Zach Bean's been one of the breakout prospects in here. 94 overall, 6 years, 196. Randy Johnson at 37 gets a 1-year deal with the Cubbies. Going in the 2031 year 7, it's getting down to it. Who's going to win this World Series? And can anyone catch up to the Dodgers? In 2031, we do not get a World Series double up. However, a team that has lost twice wins, and the Blue Jays finally get their crown as they beat the Mets in 6. They sweated out a Game 7 against the Orioles and did not look back. The Marlins seem to keep getting better and better every year in the NL side. The Guardians are always there. The Orioles are always there. Nolan Jones was your World Series MVP. Lou Gehrig wins another MVP, 55 home runs at age 30. Rafi Devers wins the MVP on the NL side, and Rafi Devers, Steven Carpenter, and Stan Musial, all Giants, all MVP finalists. Devers pulls it out. Roger Clemens and Tom Seaver win the Cy Young Awards. Clemens, I kind of forgot, was even in the mix. He comes out of nowhere. After 2031, we lose Nolan Arenado and Freddie Freeman to retirement. The Willie Adames era is over in San Francisco, and Anthony Volpe gets a 7-year deal. Al Newhouser still getting paid. 7 years, $215 from Toronto. Roman Anthony hits free agency at 27 and gets 6 years, $206. Kyle Tucker at 35 years old gets a 2-year, $62 million deal with the Blue Jays. Is this foreshadowing? Marcelo Mayer in free agency, 4 years, $101 from Colorado. Let the record show the Mariners have the #1 ranked team in the game. 94 Spencer Strider, George Kirby, a 93 aging and declining Paul Skeens, Shane McClanahan, and Mackenzie Gore's the rotation. There are 0 legends on this team, might I add. Jose Ramirez is a 77 overall DH. The Miami Marlins are going into a season with a really good-looking team, green everywhere. The Chicago Cubs, as you would expect, every year they seem to be making crazy moves. Frank Thomas, Johnny Bench, who's declining, and he's actually the backup catcher. Gunnar Henderson, Pete Crow Armstrong, Emmanuel Clase, and a pretty good rotation. No 90 plus, but 4 guys at 83 plus. And they have some progress or some prospects that have progressed into 83 plus overall position players. The Dodgers are just a shell of themselves. They're falling apart everywhere. Mickey Mantle's down to an 81. Shohei Ohtani's down to an 85. Vlad Sr.'s down to an 83. Let's simulate year 8. We got 3 more years to go. The Phillies are trading for a 32-year-old Royce Lewis, 88 overall. And after the 2032 sim, we have us another World Series sweep, and this time it is those Mariners with that pitching staff. They win 8 out of 9 in those 2 7-game series. The Cubs take down the Dodgers, but then they get swept in the World Series. And might I just throw out there, my Marlins, I was loving that Marlins roster. They did not make the playoffs. Yordan won World Series MVP, and your league MVPs were Lou Gehrig again. That's 3 out of 4 for him. And Frank Thomas with the Cubbies. The Cy Young Award went to Connor Burgos of the Mets and Tom Seaver again with the Orioles. 30-year-old Travis Bazzana goes to the Mariners, 98 mil. Garrett Crochet, 33 years old, gets 80 mil on a 2-year deal. Michael Harris gets 109 at 32 with the Orioles. Marcelo Mayer in a blockbuster with the Rockies. He's going to the Athletics. 30 years old. Is he declining? Or did he just not peak that high? Oh, one of my favorite prospects, Andrew Painter, has grown up to the age of 29, and he signs a 5-year, $125 with the Dodgers. The St. Louis Cardinals, the New York Mets, and the Miami Marlins are the only 3 teams in the NL that are considered top 10 teams in the rankings, whereas the American League is absolutely loaded at this point with top 10 teams. Another big trade, 29-year-old Jackson Merrill gets moved to the Rockies. The Rockies must be trending up. And right as I say that, we get into this World Series for 2033. It's the Cardinals beating the Blue Jays in a 7 game showdown. My Marlins do make the playoffs. They swept the Phils, they swept the Giants, and then they went to war with the Cardinals, who win back-to-back 7-game series. That is now the 4th World Series that the Blue Jays have been a part of, and the 3rd time they have lost. Hunter Goodman was your World Series MVP. Your league MVPs were Tim Rigdon and Connor Burgos. Your Cy Youngs, of course, were Burgos, who was also the MVP, and Emery Cordero. Entering into our final season, we lose Jose Ramirez and Manny Machado to retirement at the end of the year. Machado finishes just 3 home runs shy of the 500 club. I would have came back. That's just me. Connor Burgos, fresh off his MVP back-to-back Cy Young awards, gets an 8-year $356 from the Yankees at just 25 years old. He's out of ARB. Raffy Devers, 1 year, $22 million at 37. The Dodgers still plugging big bats. Tim Rigdon also just won the MVP award. He gets a 13-year, $500 million deal with the Red Sox. 99 overall, 24-year-old, batted nearly 300 with 37 homers and 20 steals at shortstop. Christian Campbell worked his way up to a 91 overall in this game. He signs with the Royals, 8 years, 162. The Dodgers trade Andrew Painter. He's an 87 overall at 30. Finally happened in our last sim. The Colorado Rockies defeat the Royals in 6. I do have a confession to make, though. This is actually 2035. I accidentally simmed past the World Series last season, which was year 10. This is technically year 11, but I couldn't view the bracket or the awards once I accidentally simmed past it. So now we're going to take a look and see who it was. The Blue Jays won the World Series last year. Wow. So we got Blue Jays Rockies to end it in these last 2 seasons. The last 2 MVPs were Spencer Torkelson and Philip Campaneris. For the National League, it was Derek Favre and Frank Thomas. Final Cy Youngs were Sean Gustafson, William Rossi in the National League, and Freddie Diaz and Emery Cordero in the American League. 10 seasons, technically 11. We saw 8 different World Series winners. The Toronto Blue Jays went to the World Series in 5 out of 11 seasons, and they won twice. If you enjoyed this video, you will like the video that I have up either to my left or right now. Click on it, go watch it. And when I'm not doing Shelfie, you can also catch me on the Jam Football, Jam Baseball, and Warehouse Game channels at John Boy Media. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be good.